Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Beyond Page One podcast. My name is Mickey. I'm your host today. I got Curtis here from KBD Insurance. Curtis from Slingin' Drinks as a bartender back in the day, helping people understand the ins and outs of the insurance world. Even having your own podcast, I want to welcome you. Excited to have you today. Welcome.
Happy to be here, sir. I appreciate the invite. It's cool, like how people can connect with each other over LinkedIn now. And for everyone else that's listening, this is literally the first exchange. The exchange we had 2 minutes ago is the first time we've ever had a real exchange. So this should be an interesting podcast.
Exactly. Yeah, it's fun. I do a lot of outreach on LinkedIn, find the people that I want to interview, and then just press the record button, and here we are.
Yeah, people like to talk about themselves, so it usually goes pretty well. Yeah.
We're all in business, so we all love our egos.
Yeah, exactly.
So I want to know what sparked your interest in the financial world and the insurance world. What really brought you to the path of becoming the president of the company?
So what sparked me to get into the finance? So I'm third generation. My grandfather started the company KBD Insurance. So we do home, car, and business insurance for people that live in Ontario or Quebec. The company itself started off in Montreal. So I'm third generation. Coming out of university, I went to Concordia University in Montreal. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. My grades were pretty shit. I didn't really apply myself in school, to be honest. And one day I was raking the leaves with my father, and he was working, and he didn't even ask. We never really had the conversation. He didn't even ask. And he's just, okay, you're going to start on Monday. This was like a Saturday. I was still living at home. Okay, you're going to start on Monday. You're going to start off cold calling. You're going to do this for 2-3 months. And while you're studying to get your license, because you have to pass the licenses, do the exams and all that stuff. So we did that, and then I started off in insurance. So I had a pretty easy in. I was dealt a good deck of cards, not going to say I wasn't. But yeah, that's how I got into the financial industry.
That's awesome. So how many years have you been with the company, and when did you graduate to that role as president?
So I've been here for 11 years. I started off in February 2013. So yeah, 11 years today, or this month.
Oh, congrats.
Thank you. And how did I get to become the president? My last name helps, but I also did my dad. I will give him credit. He actually, so just to take a little tangent here. So KBD Insurance. It's third generation, but so he worked with his father and his siblings, and he actually at one point in the early 90s he went off on his own, and he only did commercial insurance. He was a very good role model in the sense that he would come home late. He worked hard. He had to build his own business. He had to feed the kids. And he had a nice little business, nice little nimble, profitable business. But he worked his ass off. There were many times where I'd be in the car going to hockey or something, and he'd still be talking to clients at 6-7 o'clock at night. So that was always instilled in me, a good work ethic. And so, no, suck it up. You do what you got to do and just get the job done.
How long have you been president?
I've been president officially for 4 years, I think, or 5 years. I don't know, something like that. His name's still he's still part of the business, but he's pretty, I'd say 80% retired at this point. He'd like to be 100% retired, but he's not for a couple of reasons. And I guess how I became president, this was the first job I ever really took seriously. I worked hard. I take my craft seriously. And I want to grow a business. KBD Insurance, when I started, we were 2 employees. We're 30 employees today. And so I'm trying to grow. I'd like to eventually become national. And yeah, I like to think I work hard and I take it seriously. I want to grow a big business.
It's awesome. That's what we're all striving for, right?
Yeah. What about you? How did you get started in podcasting?
So podcasting, I thought it was going to be a great way to meet like-minded individuals, entrepreneurs, and really from a sales perspective as well. And I'll be completely honest with you. My biggest goal is to understand what it is that you do and build rapport with you and try to understand if there's ways that we can help each other, right? So from oftentimes in my industry, what it is that I do is we do web development, web design, search engine optimization primarily, drive leads and make sure that they convert on your website, right? Everyone and their dog does this. You probably get 10 emails a day being like, hey, you want SEO for $500 from India, right?
Yeah.
So the idea was, okay, why don't we try to leverage connections, build rapport with our potential client base and see what we can do, right? Because if I show you my book of business and I show you that I'm good, you're more likely to work with me than me just showing you a cold email or sending you a cold email, right?
Yeah, I would totally agree. And that's the same thing why I started my podcast. I wanted to it was more on the marketing side of things because people buy from people that they know and trust. And so to cut through the noise of, I don't have the budget to compete against a big, what are some national carriers? Intact Insurance or Economical, Wawanesa. I don't have their budget. right? To
Yeah.
just, and it's always the same messaging. Call us and save 20% on insurance or whatever. Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. But it's always the
50% or
same.
more.
Yeah, it's always the same message. And I knew I couldn't go head to head with them, so we took the approach of, okay, let's try a podcast that's a little bit more unique, and it's definitely been working. So kudos to you it's a good tactic. It's also enjoyable at the same time because you get to speak to people that like-minded individuals.
Yeah, 100%. For me, my background, so I was in the restaurant and bartending business as well, like, growing up through university, like same as did not care about school.
Pays great.
Went to school. I went to school because it was the right thing to do when you graduate high school, right?
Yeah.
I hated every moment of it. I like chasing girls and having a good time. That was fun.
That was the best part.
No, yeah, that was honestly the best part. Was like Wednesday nights was like $2 beer nights. I was like, awesome, sign me up.
For us was Thursday, and for the Concordia people out there, there was a bar, I don't know if it's still around, called Reggie's, and we would go there with the boys every Thursday. Same thing, $2 or $1.50 beer or something. And my dad was always down in Florida, so we would always bring the party back to my place. We have a whole house. We had fun. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I got to keep this PG though.
Yeah.
But yeah, so from my perspective, it's people do business with people. If you
Yep.
build a relationship, and that's what it is for me. I don't want to do cold calling. I don't want to sit there and cold call all day. I don't want to
That's tough.
I don't want my team to be cold calling, right? I'd rather go out, network, meet people, like-minded individuals, and if we like each other and we like each other's business offerings, awesome, let's work together. If not, doesn't matter. It's all good. So expertise is crucial in any field, and we all have leadership qualities, and there's a human side to it. What unique personal qualities and experiences do you have really propelled you forward?
I would say I'm very direct, and even if I don't want to say something right away, like sometimes whenever you're in a management role or a leadership role, because you're not used to it, you're gonna basically, sometimes people like, I want to tell this person something, but you'll think it over in your head going, and you'll convince, because it's most likely, or there's a good chance it might lead to conflict. And a lot of people will shy away from that. But what ends up happening is you're eventually going to have to address that conflict anyways. So it's much better, or this is my logic at least, it's much better to confront it immediately. And even if they think you're being a little bit unreasonable, it's still a better scenario than if, for example, you're just going to let it brew, that passive aggressive type of stuff, and then a month or 2 months later, and then I explode or someone else explodes. So I would say my traits are, I'm definitely very direct. I like to think I have leadership qualities. I think my work ethic is good and people can see that. And sometimes businesses with the boss that's just never there, the employees, I don't think you'll ever get top end employees because the respect won't be there. They're going to go, why the hell would I work my ass off to make you all this money and you're not even in the trenches with me? And so that's a big thing that I try and do. So for example, I won't get into details, but I'm eating a bit of a shit sandwich right now. We had to make some changes internally in the business, and I'm back like doing day-to-day stuff, all the same stuff that the other brokers do, and employees see that. I think just and being like a real boss. I don't have to. I'm real with people. I'll say it like it is. People don't have to walk on eggshells in our office, and I like to think we have a pretty good culture. Sometimes they might think I'm like a little bit on the strict side, but it's better than thinking I'm a pushover to run a business, at least.
No, 100%. I think that saying, it comes from the top down, just being authentic, right, in what it is that you're doing. I remember I had a boss once.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I remember I had a boss once, and I was working door-to-door sales, and I come back to the office, he's not there. Where is he? Golfing. Where is he? Golfing. It's like, what's my motivation to keep working really hard here? There was no mentorship either. It's obviously, as a young adult and a young guy going into sales world, like when you do a good job, you want to be told you're doing a good job too. Right?
Yeah.
And there's nothing like that.
It's all of it. It's the mentorship, knowing that they're in the trenches with. There was a clip on Elon Musk. Some people hate him, some people love him. I'm one of the people that loves him. I think he's great. He works his ass off. He's done a lot of good for humanity. One of the things, and other employees can attest to this, when Tesla was really in the dumps, he was legit sleeping in the factory, and he was there with everyone else trying to get this to work. And it rubbed me the wrong way, so I'm sure you've heard about this. I think the talks are done now, but the unions with Ford and all the stuff, all that stuff, the negotiations that we're going through, slapped the employees in the face. The CEO of Ford Motor Company for the negotiations was down in his villa in Mexico negotiating over Teams, his big multi-million-dollar mansion, negotiating with all the blue-collar workers. Like, dude, what are you doing? Like, it's so disrespectful.
It is.
That guy there, and he collects a big fat salary, dividends. It's not right. But that's my. You can work hard and all that stuff, but your employees are the people who run the company. You need to treat them like that. That without your employees, you don't have a company, and you should treat them like gold. Stand up for yourself when you need to stand up for yourself. You need to. The respect has to go both ways. You should respect them, and then in turn, they'll most likely respect you back.
100%. Well said. And I'm also an Elon fan, so I'm with you.
Oh, cool. Yeah, well, most business people are.
Yeah. When he bought X and Twitter and changed the name over, that was a lot of people were like, oh, like we're against it, so to speak. But I thought it was a great idea.
But dude, not only what he did, like I understood what he's doing on the free speech side of things, but then what also too, if we're going to focus on, forget the politics aside, let's focus on the actual business side of it. He leaned out the company. And say what you want, the media attacked him. The rest of Silicon Valley said, oh shit, X is able to operate for cutting 80% of its staff and everything seems to be fine. Yeah. And all the other companies were like, huh. And they all did it. They all followed. So and everyone shits on Elon, but he was just the guy with the balls to do it first. And then Mark Zuckerberg did it, Google did it, you have all the Amazons doing it. And these are just the big companies. And you have all the tech companies. Right now, the name of the game is profitability. It's not growth. You need to have profitability, you need to have the margins, and that's just the way it is.
Right on. So that kind of swings it into my next question. Ensuring client onboards, and what's your retention model and making sure that you're growing? And just give me a little bit of the ins and outs of your side.
We're definitely an offensive-minded insurance broker. We're aggressive in terms of, I spend a lot of money on marketing, so we do get a lot of inbound leads, but we are aggressive treating these inbound leads. We get a lot of inbound web leads. We're aggressive with those as well. And I taught myself SEO 5 years ago. So I know it's constantly changing and stuff. So it's never, oh, here's the recipe, because it changes every month or every day. So I put a lot of money and a lot of time into the website. I can't code, but I quarterback the whole thing. So I have a very good understanding of how the website works. So in terms of just being offensive, we put a lot of money into marketing, building a brand, making sure the website is tip top, and trying to hire people that are incentivized and competitive and who want to grow a business together. Because there are a lot of other insurance brokers, and there's nothing wrong with this. It's just, if you want to be like this, that's fine. They get to a certain point and enough, and that's fine. But I'm not like that. And personally, I think that if you're sitting on your laurels, like if you're not growing, you're dying, as the saying goes, right? And especially now in our space for insurance, there's a lot of consolidation. Private equity has come in. They're buying up a lot of insurance brokers. Insurance companies are behaving like private equity. They're coming in buying insurance brokers. So it's getting more and more difficult to compete if you want to stay at that small size. And so you're forced to grow if you want to have a future in the business.
Is there a collaboration between the insurance broker side and the legal advisors and risk consultants, and do you work together?
Us personally, no, but we actually we have a golf simulator in the office, and after this meeting...
Are you hiring?
We are hiring. I actually have a meeting, not so much with the consultants, but he's an owner. He has 100 brokers that work underneath of them, real estate brokerage company. So we're actually having the meeting to get like a brand, what would it call? Join the brands together, like sponsor each other, like the official insurance company or the official insurance broker of this. And they're right in our neck of the woods. So a lot of our clients are based around Montreal. We have quite a few in Ottawa too, but they have a lot of business in our area as well. So it could be a nice synergy. I don't know if that answers your question, but...
Yeah, no, it does. And I've always wondered about the market in Montreal. So I'm from Winnipeg, right? And primarily our company's built with English speaking in mind. Do you on your team, and do you speak French, and do your sales reps and people speak both French and English?
If you want to be in Quebec, you have to speak French.
Yeah.
Like you really have to speak French. So to answer the question, the short answer is yes. Some people are fluent. Some people are perfectly bilingual. When I say fluent, it's, for example, for me, I'm fluent. I can speak, but a mother tongue French person is going to notice my accent when I speak to them. They're going to know that my first language is English right away. But I can get by. I can understand. I can speak. I can go to French meetings. I'm not as good as I used to be because I don't practice it as much. But the majority of our brokers here are perfectly bilingual. They can speak in English. And they can speak in French. It's because they're cutting off. Yes, we're Anglo, so we can go after. There's 8 million people in Quebec. There's only 800,000 mother tongue English. So 10% of the population is mother tongue English. But there's not a lot of insurance brokers there's a lot of insurance brokers you can call in Quebec, you'll call it English. Like you cannot go outside of Montreal, they don't speak English, man.
Yeah.
But there's a market opportunity for us, so I can do all the branding and stuff, and we do have a lot of English-speaking people here. But again, it'd be stupid to just not speak French because we're cutting off a big part of the market.
So from the marketing perspective, you keep both in mind. You keep the French side in mind too in marketing. And
yeah, and we market primarily to the Anglo-speaking community just because it's easier. And trust me, when you're doing advertising, it's already difficult enough. And then if you want to do the French translation, it's number one, it's a lot of work. Number two, it's really difficult to translate properly. It's not you can get 10 different translators and they're going to translate it 10 different ways. And there's always little mistakes and stuff like that. So I would say probably 80% of the marketing we do, which is mostly online, we do a bit of traditional, it's mostly in English. Cool. Don't tell the government I said that though. The provincial government.
Yeah. Like in my business, it's all about relationships and maintaining them and building them. You have, I assume, a sales team with you as well. What are some core principles that you instill in the company for building and maintaining those relationships? And what are some key things that you can share today that you do?
Be on the offense. Make sure you're following up. Don't be afraid to knock on doors. When you make a mistake, tell them right away. Don't wait. We've had some brokers here that I never understand why people do this. It's like you're going to have to give the bad news. Why wait a week? And you're going to be thinking about it in the back of your head. Just get it over with. It's like a Band-Aid. Yeah. I had that literally this morning. I personally made a mistake. I made a big mistake. And the premium was literally almost double what I said it was. They still ended up taking it. But I called them. I didn't want to call them, obviously. But I owned it. I said, look, I'm really sorry. This is just, I don't have an excuse. I made a mistake. And I think people they think that clients or prospects are going to behave in a certain way. But you'd be surprised when you tell them hey, dude, I made a mistake. And you're upfront as opposed to some kind of greasy sales guys. They'll be like, oh, no, I never said that. But dude, just own it. And the person on the other end of the line, unless they're a complete asshole, they'll be like, all right, cool. They might not buy it, but at least you have to have integrity in sales. In anything. You need to have integrity. Back to the core principles, I'll just say, be on the offense, have integrity, work hard, do your follow-ups, and have a good attitude. You could say that about any type of job position. And obviously we try and hire people that are, when you're hiring a service person or a salesperson. So we try and find the personality traits, generally speaking, a little bit more extroverted. They're not as afraid of rejection, all that kind of stuff. But that's the profile we're looking for when building a sales team. What about you?
What about me when building a sales team?
What are the personalities of your sales?
It's hard because we have products that range in such a different variety of cost, right? I have solutions that start at $500 a month and range to $50,000 a month. Mm-hmm. So those relationships that are paying $50,000 a month are expecting a lot more, and the outputs are a lot higher, right? Mm-hmm. But really, honesty, the integrity side of it is huge for us. We are not perfect. There are mistakes when we edit websites, when we put together proposals, whether it's pitching to a client like yourself, for example, and I forget that you speak French, that could be a huge issue, and you're probably not going to go and work with me because of it.
A huge issue in Quebec. Not to me, but to a French-speaking person. What the hell is this?
Yeah. For me, scaling our sales team has been really difficult because what we do is very technical sales. It's not a car. It's you need to understand how websites work, how Google algorithms work.
And are you selling, is it mostly SEO services or paid ads or the whole thing?
Both. So I shy away from social completely. I don't do social.
Yeah, social's tough.
But we're experts on the technical and on-page and off-page side of the business on SEO. Yeah. I have my own writers, my own developers, my own link building team, everything in-house.
You do the link outreach?
Yeah.
You guys do it? Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's almost like traditional PR where we find out what your competitors are linking. We reach out to them on your behalf, be like, hey, this is Mickey from XYZ company. I'm not from that company. There's a little bit of spam that goes on in SEO for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But I just have a, sorry to cut you off here. Yeah, no, a little bit of a tangent, and for anyone who's listening, you probably have an SEO audience because you're an SEO guy. What's the deal right now with, I could talk SEO all day. Okay, link building. And I know right now, so they're saying, when I say it's like the internet and Google, I think. It's still important, not as important as, to my understanding, not as important as what it was, say, 2 years ago. I've worked with link building companies in the past. We don't anymore because, and this is funny, we could become clients after this. I was looking for a Canadian, do you charge in CAD or USD? Okay, beautiful. Number one, the USD, the exchange was just absolutely hammering me. So it's just
Oh, yeah.
that got like I'm paying it. We worked and basically so all the links that we kept getting, they were just shit. Like they were basically like the domain authority on the other websites. It's I don't know. Like I guess what I'm getting at is number one, are links as important as they used to be for signals for Google in terms of ranking? And number two, do you just reach out to mostly Canadian websites? Do you how do you do it?
So to answer your first question, are links important? Short answer, yes. Google still to this day base authority on really two main areas, and it's age of domain. How long have you been around?
Yeah.
Which I can't do anything about.
Yeah.
You're alive for as long as you're alive.
The what's it called? The sandbox thing?
And links. So there's something to be said where once websites start ranking and have a high enough authority, it's a little bit, and Google likes it. Like if you rank really well for insurance terms in and around your location, Google's already, and you have for let's say 3-4 years, 5 years, it's going to be a lot harder to take you down. So you don't have to focus on link building as aggressively as somebody that's trying to come up at bottom of page one. They have to, right? You can now more focus on just providing really high quality content, making sure your website's interlinked, that Google understands it from a technical perspective, so that when algorithm updates do come out, you benefit from it because they come out, but the core algorithm updates happen quarterly.
We got dinged on the last one. I still don't know why. We went up the last three. We went up, or the in Search Console we went up a lot. Last one went down. I don't know. No idea why.
Yeah.
That's just what it is.
Sorry, what was your second question? Is link building important?
How do you get how do you get the links?
Oh man,
I know it's outreach, but the reason I'm asking this question, in my experience, it's essentially like cold calling. It's 1 out of 100 or 2 out of 100 and stuff like that. And then I'll get the link guest post or link exchanges sometimes, which I've read is not, probably shouldn't be doing that, like gray area. But like it was so difficult. And then on top of that, like I asked some of the big insurance companies, I asked them for links. They do not give links. Like they don't give links. So it's like, and it's not common in my industry. And so it's like you have all the big companies like an Intact, a Desjardins, or a Wawanesa, like they have, number one, they have so much brand authority that they rank anyways. But number two, like their link profile isn't that impressive, but it's no one, people, they will not.
It's hard to penetrate,
Yeah.
There's a lot of different ways. There's the white hat of SEO, there's the black hat of SEO, and there's the gray hat. I think somewhere in the middle. For us, it's a lot of the links that we build is a lot of kind of traditional PR, and it requires a lot of labor. There's some automation, obviously, that we use where to write the emails. But like we'll reach out to, our goal is to get niche relevant links and area, like so if it's somewhere in Montreal, like other Montreal businesses mentioning you, things like that, right?
Yeah.
There's so many tools out there to scrape your competitors to see where they are and see what, is it a
do you guys use Ahrefs?
Yeah, it's Ahrefs. I use Screaming Frog for content, Surf for SEO. Like there's tons of tools out there. Really, so we used to, when we first started the company, this was probably about 10 years ago, Jacob, it's funny because he hired SEO agencies to sell fire pits. That's how it all started, right? He started selling fire pits and doing that. And then he was like, I can do this better. And then started an SEO agency. And a lot of it was overseas work, right? Or you can buy links. So you can go to Google right now and type in buy high authority links and you can buy them. You got to be very careful because if you don't know what you're doing, you can really screw up your website royally, right?
Yeah. You get a manual action by Google. That would be bad.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to give away too many of the secrets of how we do it, but a lot of it is internal, and we've been around in the industry, so we know a lot of people in the SEO world that if we do need a high authority link, we can get one. You can go and you can get a link from Forbes if you want. You're paying out the ass for it, right? But you can get mentioned in Forbes.
But it's just the last point. It's just because and I was reading, it was the link profile and the DA. It's not a perfect metric of a quality of a website, right? It has to be relevant to the blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff. But so the links, and because most of the link builders that we worked with in the past, they don't know that I have Ahrefs and I'm looking at to see, because they're like, oh yeah, you got all these links, and I'm like looking at the link profiles, and I'm just like, and you go visit the websites, I'm like, this is a crock of shit. It's like a spammy website with a DA of 50. So it's like I was reading somewhere that actually they'll have, it's like is it link farms? It's basically like they'll just make a bunch of websites, blog stuff, and then send links to that. It's like lighting money on fire. It does nothing for my website.
It's very common. For local businesses, honestly, my biggest suggestion is more so to focus on citations. Do a quarterly press release, get syndicated press releases out. Curtis is 10 plus years in the business, father retired, whatever. Like it can be whatever it is that you want to talk about. Just getting that link back to your homepage And the thing that people don't realize is that when building links, like what are the anchors? What pages are they going to?
Yes.
Where's the link juice being passed down to?
Yeah.
Because people think, let's just build links with an anchor text to our brand name. That's not it. That's not helping.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, okay, my last question. So I'm like totally kiboshing this interview. It's not an interview, it's a podcast discussion. So we did some paid PR through Post Media, so the Gazette, a bunch of websites. When it's paid PR, and it's all white hat, the stuff that they do, obviously, so there's no tricks. At the top, and even in the URL, you'll see URL, blah, blah, Gazette /sponsorship /title of the article. Does that help SEO? I feel like it doesn't, because it's specifically, Post Media is specifically telling Google, hey, this is paid.
Quite honestly, I didn't understand your question, Chris.
Okay, basically, it's the post, let's say, for example, there's a newspaper website, a traditional newspaper company, it's called the Gazette in Montreal. That's the big one.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I reach out to Gazette, hey, cool, can you guys write an article about us? It's a press release. They're going to send a link to our website. They did that. But they specifically say, like on the article and included in the URL, hey, this is paid. Like Curtis paid to have this. Does that help?
It still does. Yes. In short, yes. I think it does. Yeah.
Cool.
It's still a link. It's still a link. If it's a do follow link, it helps.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh
Thanks
man,
for
where
the
was
tangent.
I on my question? Yeah, it's all good. That's part of it. I had a question here about future. Where do you see the future on-demand or pay-as-you-go insurance models?
It's not going to work. But
Not going to work?
No, because there's not the insurance. How insurance companies make money is on the renewals. So it's basically, I can't remember the word. What the hell's the word? Recurring revenue. It's like annual recurring revenue and all that kind of stuff. It's very difficult to build an ARR model on pay-as-you-go insurance. Typically speaking, the clients are not like the same caliber. It's not like a high caliber of clients. It's usually just a nuisance. If they built a full tech platform that could do that, maybe, but then the platform could be really good. It could be really easy to get insurance. How the hell are you going to handle the claims? The claims, the logistics for dealing with the actual claims is way more complex than buying an insurance policy or servicing an insurance policy. The claims is where it really starts to explode. So companies like Amazon have tried to get into insurance. Companies like Tesla have tried to get insurance. They have all this data. They keep coming in and they just leave because they're like, yes, getting the clients, they have all this data, they can get all the clients. Dealing with the claims after, they haven't figured it out. And my assumption is the fact, let's just let them do that, let's pull out. That's my honest assumption. Now, what I will say though, is AI for home and car insurance will, especially for the simple 21-year-old kid who just wants the bare minimum in order to drive, I don't see why AI can't do that. And here's the thing. So a lot of insurance brokers, there's a lot of red tape in the industry. And it doesn't benefit the consumer. They'll tell you it benefits the consumer. It does not benefit the consumer. And it just results in higher premiums, and we make more money off your backs. It will take, when AI comes in, you'll see the broker network will be up in arms, but it will eventually happen. Why do you have to speak to someone like me to buy a car insurance policy? You shouldn't have to.
Wasting my time and your time.
Yeah, I don't want to have to send you 5 things to sign and you have to do this and that. A broker's going to go, oh, you don't know if you're properly covered. Da, 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 da. Dude, it's a car. They're all the same, like literally. For business insurance, a little different. Like, especially if you have like 50 employees, revenue, US sales, completely different. That you need to have a commercial insurance broker with the expertise. That's different. But I'm talking for like the basic transactions, the basic policies that fit into that little box. Like, I don't see why AI won't do it. And there will be a company to come out and do it. And it'll take a while, take longer than it should just because of the red tape, but it will.
Is there anything that you're doing internally to speed up the process for those smaller claims or for those smaller insurance? Sorry.
No, because we're at the mercy of the insurance companies. So I'm a broker. So basically, I take a cut of whatever the policy is. And there's no point in me trying to build anything because if like they could snap their fingers and change something, and I'm at the mercy of whatever they do, the integration with the insurance companies. I'm at the mercy, and brokers have it's a high margin business. Like run brokers, you'll run at anywhere from like 30 to a 50% EBITDA margin, and a really profitable year it's a 50% EBITDA margin. That's insane. It shows that you would only get that in a highly regulated market. It's like regulatory capture almost. And I don't like it. I'm a broker and I'm saying this. But it is what it is. There's so much red tape in Canada for home and car insurance.
Yeah, so yeah, it's interesting. So in Winnipeg, we have the public side, right? MPI, Manitoba Public Insurance. How is it in Ontario and Quebec?
Okay, so Quebec is actually we're quite a socialist province. And actually for home and car insurance, we are a free market in comparison to the rest of Canada. And surprise, we have the least expensive car insurance and home insurance in all of Canada. Surprise. Just because there's less regulation. And we don't have to go through all these hoops and valleys. Ontario, it's actually quite nice, and it's very simple to issue policies, make changes. Very simple, not a lot of manual data entry. In Ontario, man, it's the amount of work, manual data entry you have to do to issue a policy is ridiculous. It makes no sense. They're stuck in like 19.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's frustrating. I digress.
We talked about, you mentioned that if AI and tech comes to, how do I want to word this? Is there insurance tech that you're using or that is benefiting you and expediting your management side of business?
Yes, but that's another monopoly. So I can explain that I'll make it quick.
Yeah, no.
So you have the insurance companies, the insurance brokers, and in the middle there's this company called Applied. So Google actually has a big stake in Applied. And Applied is basically, it's the integration between the insurance carriers and the broker. Because I input the data and it has to talk to the servers of the insurance companies to spit out a price. So that'll talk to them, but it's only one company that dominates the whole market. So they fleece everybody. Go check out their margins. Yeah. And to answer the question though, like what are they doing to advance technology? Is it moving as fast as it should? No, not even close. But so for example, like if you go on our website, you can get online quotes. So we built out the front end. The back end, though, again, is owned by, that software is provided by Applied. And because the insurance companies, and I get their point too, they don't want to, especially now with data, like 4 or 5 big insurance companies that suffered cyber attacks, they were shut down for like 2 weeks. So they're very careful about who they work with. So for a company to come in and say, hey, I want to integrate with your servers, they're going to be like, whoa, buddy, I don't even know who you are. It's just, they're comfortable with Applied. The integration's already built. They know it's secure. They work with them. So I do understand that point. But for brokers, it's very expensive to purchase the CRM. There are ways where you could do online quotes and stuff like that. But in terms of other fancy stuff, honestly, the only way to really build something in insurance in Canada, and US is pretty regulated too, surprisingly. It's just, there's a lot of red tape as well. The only way to really, if you want to get like a full tech, you'd have to start an insurance company yourself, and you would need millions and millions and millions of dollars to start that. It would take years to hop through all the regulatory burden. And that's why the margins are so high, because it's next to impossible to come in. It's common to Canada. There's a lot of, our banking system, groceries, telecom, insurance is like this, life insurance is like this. It's just, our country has gotten to a point where like we penalize entrepreneurship, and it's like they say it's for the protection of the consumer. And I'm not saying there shouldn't be any regulation. That's not what I'm saying. But there is a possibility to have over-regulation. And I think many sectors in Canada are like that to the detriment of the consumer.
Yeah. And then when you look into the States, is on the insurance side, I'm sure you've studied it a little bit.
Yeah.
Is it very different? And a lot more advanced, or is it still red tape?
No, it's very similar to here. It's the same thing, yeah. So it's very archaic, and it's the same as Canada. So it's a state by state legislation on the rules for the insurance. So you have to get the permits per state. It's like the same thing in Canada. I can't just go tomorrow pick up and go sell insurance in BC, for example. I have to pass the exams. I have to get the permits. And the people that work at these offices, their governments. It takes you a long time to get that stuff done. Anytime there's permitting, like it was never like Canada, it was always a pain in the ass, but since COVID I find it's never been like this tough, and this is consistent across Canada. It's ridiculous to try and get a permit, and most of these people, they work from home, and there's just no accountability, and no one's doing anything about it, and we just keep falling further and further behind in the standard of living versus the US.
Is there a country that you can think of that does it better?
Britain.
Yep.
In England. So in England, I'm rambling on about this stuff. So
this is interesting to me and to our listeners. I'm sure they're interested.
In England, so let's take car insurance. So do you know the aggregators here? So do you know lowest rates? You ever heard of lowest rates? or rates.ca. Basically, it's an SEO company, basically. So they get they're an SEO company, then you come in, you put your data, you get a quote, and they sell the quotes to brokers. So they're called aggregators. So the same thing, and Lois, I've worked with them. They're a really great, sharp company. So I regard them very highly. And in the UK, so if you go to one of these aggregators, basically you go in, it's not a broker, it's not an insurance company, you just put in all your information and they give you the best price for the market, right? Now in the UK, because they don't have as much red tape, every single year, so for the car insurance, they will literally, number one, they store your data. So if your car hasn't changed, your license hasn't changed, you don't have any tickets, you don't have any claims, exact same situation, they'll say, hey, you want a quote? All you do is, yeah, sure. You click yes. Hey, here's your quote. You want to buy it? Yes. You got a new policy. Like that. You don't have to get all information, call the insurance companies, tell them all your tickets, tell them this. They store it. And for whatever reason, all this goddamn regulation here, you can't store the data and consumer protection and all that shit. And they do not pay high for the car insurance. So this is to the benefit of the consumer. Consumers are winning. And so whenever they say here, no, we're protecting the consumer, it's like the CRTC telling us, oh, we're here to protect you. Why do we pay the highest cell phone bills in the world? You know what I mean? Stop blowing smoke up my ass.
Yeah, no kidding. That's every corner in Canada, though.
Yeah, that's my rant.
Cool. Any sort of resources or podcasts or books that you listen to personally that have helped you? Insurance and outside of insurance, just in personal growth too.
I don't listen to insurance. Insurance is boring, so I don't listen. But I will. Okay, there is a couple podcasts. I'm a big podcast guy. I love podcasts, guys. I love podcasts. The All In podcast. Do you listen to that?
I don't listen to All In, no.
Dude, it's it's a number one podcast in tech and business. Dude, it's politics. It's a really great podcast. It's four dudes, Chamath Palihapitiya, David Sachs, David Freeberg, and Jason, I forget his last name. But there are four VC guys from Palo Alto, like the Bay Area. Really great. I highly suggest you and the listeners to check out that podcast. And there's another one which is Canadian macroeconomic based called the Looney Hour. That's a cool one. So they talk about the economy. I would say it's more real estate focused. Patrick Bet David, PBD podcast, and then the occasional Joe Rogan. I'll listen to a couple Tucker Carlson here and there and all that stuff. I'm a big. I was discussing this the other day. It's really cool to see independent media, the rise of independent media, and all the legacy media. They're freaking out because they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's why they're coming in to try and regulate it and stop the other stuff. And people are like, no, we like our independent media sources now. And they shot themselves in the foot. I don't know anyone our age, my friends, that listen to CBC. Do you?
No.
We don't listen to CBC.
No.
They're going to be gone.
I don't pay for cable.
Same. So all the people, like, they're dying off. The baby boomers, they're getting older. They're going to die in the next 20 years. They're not going to be around. CBC does not have any viewership at our age, and they know that. So I think they're freaking out, and that's why they're trying to like lobby and push legislators to be hey, like they're trying to stop it. But I don't think this is a war that they can win.
I think it's too far gone. Because it's like stopping social media. We're past it.
Yes. It's like you're not. Gone. Yeah, you're not going to. Thank God that bill didn't pass there. But imagine like going on YouTube and the CRTC is regulating what's on YouTube. I'll just buy a VPN.
Yeah.
Like legit. I'll just, if I haven't got a VPN yet, and this actually pissed me off the other day. So on Spotify, I pay for a Spotify subscription. They started putting in ads now, like they're in French. So I know it's the provincial ads. And I'm like, what the hell is this? So these are, they're supposed to be advertisement free unless the ads coming straight from the actual podcaster themselves. No, there are Canadian Quebec specific ads now on my Spotify. So I might get a VPN just for my Spotify, just out of principle. Hey, get out of here, man.
I'm paying for a premium version.
Yes, and the government has to stick their nose in there and say, no, we need to fucking have our ads too. Let's get out of here.
The crazy world that we live in, man. I could go down a tangent with social media and government regulations and all that. And I'm not going to dive down that rabbit hole. We'll be here for another 2 hours.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic, but just like back to the first point, it's just really, I love following the story. I think it's interesting to see. And I think when you allow the market to take its course, and the market is clearly saying, hey, people want to listen to independent media sources, independent minds outside of the legacy media narrative, definitely happening. And we're sick and tired. They take us for fools. We're sick and tired of being told that, oh, that podcast or this or that is it's misinformation. We're not that dumb. And I think a lot of people are waking up. This isn't just in Canada, but it's worse in Canada than in other places. But this is happening in Europe, and the market is giving signals that no, the people are trusting the independent media sources over legacy media. That's what's happening. It's nice to see.
Yeah, it is, but it's also dangerous because where is the truth among it?
That's another very difficult thing to do. And you're right.
Yeah. Like I find even with like current events that are going on in the world, it's what is the truth? Like who
You're
is...
right. Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think now it's like you have to, number one, I think you have to be an independent thinker, because if you just go to one source every time, it will always be through a specific lens. Conservative person will give the news through a conservative lens, or a liberal person will give the news through a liberal lens. And that's normal, it's fine. But you're right, you have to draw your own conclusions, go to a couple sources and go, okay. Because if you listen to the same news event on like CNN and then Fox, am I watching, is this the same event? Yeah.
I think people, like, as our generation comes about, our attention spans like this, right? 2 shorts, whatever.
Yeah.
So we don't want to sit down and read an article. We don't want to listen to the history of something. We have some hot girl or some dude telling me what is going on in the world. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, just like a robot. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's what's happening. I'm going to go and preach it on my Instagram. Yeah. And all of a sudden, I'm some woke whatever. Wild world.
Yeah, all of a sudden you're part of the woke brigade.
Yeah, exactly. With that being said, what advice would you give young professionals that are interested in pursuing a career in the insurance industry?
I would say this about insurance. So the nice thing is, and no offense to the old guard, they're retiring, and just like many other industries, baby boomers, they're older, they're getting out of the insurance industry.
Yeah.
There is a lot of opportunity in insurance right now. And if you're sharp, you're sales-minded, and you want to make a lot of money, it's definitely an industry to get into. If you can develop an expertise in commercial insurance, there is absolutely an expertise shortage. I wouldn't say labor shortage, but there is an expertise shortage in commercial insurance right now. It will take you probably 5 years to really get it set, but because there's such a low supply of these people, you'll make a lot of money. And the industry needs people that are experienced, and it's definitely a great time to be getting into insurance. This is across Canada. I'm sure it's the same thing in the US, but there's a big expertise shortage right now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So if you're a motivated young individual, give Curtis a call.
Yeah,
Maybe he'll hire you.
Shoot me your CV. I've gotten CVs off many LinkedIn posts and stuff, so hopefully we'll get another one.
Cool. Lastly, just to wrap things up, what legacy do you hope to leave with KBD Insurance and just the insurance industry as a whole?
I was thinking about this the other day. It's a really great question. It's not, yes, I want to have a big company, but it's not to just be, as I've gotten older, not that I'm old, I'm only 35. Money's nice, but it's not everything. I would want to give back to the community. Just like that, for example, there's this parks program. There's this, it's like a drop-in day camp in Montreal. Yeah. Last time I checked, I don't think it's doing too well, but it had a really big impact all my life. In a good way. So just give back to the community, help kids out. If I have some money to just, it's very nice to be giving to society and stuff like that. So it would definitely be to give back to the community. And I'm not just saying that to be like some tacky, get back to the community, but it does actually, at what point is money, it's not going to make you happy. Whether you have 30 million or $1 billion, like your life is going to be the same. It's like literally going to be exactly the same. So what type of legacy do you leave? And it's not just going to be by making the most money and having the most amount of employees. It's about giving back to society. And I want to get to a point to the company where I can give back to society and feel good about it.
It's awesome. It's awesome. And I love that. I really think my dad always said this to me. They're not going to bury you with all of it. And he's talking about the money, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So live your life and give generously.
Yeah. It's just, if you can afford to give it, do it. You'll feel good about it. And you'll just help out society. Like I think right now I feel like this a little bit more now just because there's a dark cloud over Canada right now. I think a lot of people feel that way. And not to get political at all. When you want to help people. The cost of living is very expensive. Everything's going up. People are frustrated, upset. And we're going to get out of it. I'm confident we'll get out of it. Hopefully we'll get out of it sooner than later. I think we're a resilient population. Resilient people. So sometimes I think just pack up and leave and go to Florida. But then the other side of me is, nah, man, you grew up here. You're Canadian. Yeah, let's fight. So it's good. We're going to get through this.
Yeah. Man, I know so many people that have been running away to Mexico.
Really? Mexico?
A lot of people, especially during COVID, right, with the regulations and everything. So people that didn't want to get the vaccines and everything like that.
Yeah.
But just Mexico as a whole is just booming. Like the tourism.
I guess the cost of living is probably a lot less too.
Cost of living, yeah, and especially nowadays working remotely, I need a computer and a keyboard. Right?
Yeah, and it's not wrong. My brother's a YouTuber. I keep telling that. I'm like, dude, why Like, you pay tax through the ass. You could do this job from anywhere. No one would know. Why do you live here?
Yeah, 100%.
And he's having everyone is. It's just so freaking expensive to live in this place, and I'm so frustrated with the country right now. But like I said, we're gonna get through it.
We're gonna persevere.
We're gonna persevere. We're gonna get through it. We got a lot of work to do, but I think we're gonna get through this.
Yeah. Leadership needs to come. Leadership needs to change, and things will be better.
Yeah.
So that's where I'll leave it at that.
Oh yeah.
Well, Curtis, awesome. Thanks for coming on today. I'll be tagging you on all this in our socials
Sounds good,
as
man.
well. And for our listeners and viewers, please click subscribe, and we'll be coming up with another podcast next week.